So if I go back to the birthday party, and it took me a moment to get back there, but and the scene where your ex-son-in-law was screaming in your face as you were trying to keep the conversation between him and your daughter and other people out of it. That's what I took from the scene that I was able to hear. Do you recognize your ex-son-in-law? What is different now, in your opinion, versus what you saw when Melody first brought him home to meet you? Or did you maybe even observe some of these behaviors back then, but that was her choice, and you wanted her to feel comfortable in her choice? Do you recognize him now?
When I first met my ex-son-in-law, I did not want Melody to date him. I didn't. But then once I got to know him a little bit and got to know a little bit about his background and, some of the challenges that he had had growing up, and seeing a man that appeared to want to work hard to change that, I grew to be okay with it. And if I wasn't okay with it, what was I going to do?
True.
It wasn't my place to make a decision for her. But, when I first met him, I realized he was a little arrogant. I saw that in him. But I figured it was because of, the hard times that he had had growing up. He had learned to be overly confident in himself, and I thought that was okay. And it is okay as long as it's not hurting anyone else, But no, the man I see today, I don't know who he is, because I know he's been overtaken. Like I said, I know what spiritual warfare is. And I know what the Word of God says. You can't contaminate something that God made sacred and think that there's not going to be any repercussions for that. And I'm just going to be very candid. You can't go live with all these strange women and think you're not picking up spirit. And, I've had very candid conversations with my ex-son-in-law, prior to all of this taking place, prior to the divorce. God would show me things, and I would go to him directly and tell him what God was showing me. And he would act like he was receiving it. And for a moment, I thought he was receiving it, but then it just got to a point where I realized, okay, he's not receiving any of it. He's saying he understands it, but to me it was like in his mind, he already knew that he wasn't going to heed to the warning of God. And if he ever decides to tell this story, he'll validate what I'm about to say. But God had me to go to him and deliver a very, very hard word to him. And he knew that that was his final warning. And he knew that if he didn't heed to it, great was going to be his fall. And so when I see certain stuff happening now, once I delivered that word to him, God told me now it was time for me to step back, stop praying, get out of the way. And that's what I did. And so when I see stuff happening now, I just know it's just, you didn't heed to the warning of God, and here you are. So now you've got to wrestle with God to get out of this. If you truly want to get back to the man you desire to be, you can't wrestle with Melody. You can't wrestle with me. You can't wrestle with anybody. You're going to have to wrestle with God to get back to the man that you desire to be.